Welcome back, everybody, to our penultimate match of the Sootopolis City League Wildcard to see who will make it into finals. I'm joined on the mic right now by the icon, the legend, the moment, Miss Izzy. How are you feeling, Izzy?
Hey, thank you. I this is super hype. Like I said, very close right now for both the Colossus and Heat. This match will decide if the Heat is just gonna win or if they're gonna go to a game 7. And as a reminder, when they play versus each other, they ended up tying. So really cool to see how they're a lot more closer than how it went for the Dream Eaters and the Celtics of Turkle.
Absolutely. It's a real nail biter. We're all on the edge of our seats. And we have an incredibly spicy matchup today between Audie and Monroy. Both are very accomplished players. Both have pretty similar teams, though. They both have the 3 highest used Pokemon in Spike Myth. But as you can see over on Audie's side, he's paired his Urshifu Water with probably that Pelipper to set up those really strong and oppressive surging strikes. It also helps cover that Amoonguss from any pesky fire type moves, and there's a Naganadel on there just for fun. But Audie's a very accomplished player, as you can see, top 4 of NPA 4 times and a 2-time champion with the puppies. Did very well in the previous Series 12 circuit at the IRL events. You know, he got top 8 at Vancouver. And, you know, he's won a couple r/VCC room tours, which is pretty exciting as well.
Absolutely. And on the other side, we have Monroy. This is probably, I believe, the first time we actually are showcasing him in our stream. On 22, he did get top 8 on the Bilbao special event, top cut the BR Spring Challenge, and then he's actually part of the BCL team of the Capital Underdogs. So BCL is another team league, so they're not unknown in it. And then another fun fact is that Monroy actually is currently undefeated. He only played 2 weeks because of how big the Heats are, but very cool to see the undefeated player, even if it's a 2-0 versus Addy, who ended up ending with a 4-3 on their regular season.
But when you're playing every single week, you cannot be expected to win all of them. And 4-3 is still very impressive, especially with the 3 2-0s that Audie has taken. So we're guaranteed to have an incredible match today. I am so excited to see how these 2 players stack up against each other. And without further ado, how about we just go ahead and get right on into it?
Absolutely. Let's see what these are going to lead and what they're going to be starting with.
Yeah, absolutely. They have 3 of the same Pokemon, so I'm interested to how they're going to maneuver that against each other. But it looks like on Monroy's side, we have Spectre and Nihilego coming on out. Very exciting to see that. And then we have Urshifu Water and the Pelipper to set the rain for it over on Audie's side. So very strong surging strikes coming out. Of course, Urshifu's signature move always crits. Very unfortunate for the other side of the field. But, this Pelipper can go for anything like a Tailwind. It could just start hurricaning. But setting the rain for that Urshifu is definitely its main purpose on this team.
Yeah, and then we're going to be seeing the Urshifu not gonna go for the Nihilego. Addy actually risking it with the Hydropone. Let's hope he's not missing. And then we see the Surging Strike going to the Spectre. It's going first. I mean, this is Scarf. And I think with the rain, this is probably gonna pick the first KO. But there's a Citrus Berry coming up.
Oh, you know what? It might be a range to kill, but you know what? Spectre just barely hangs on with a sliver of health, able to get out that Snarl, hopefully, removing some of that offensive pressure from the Pelipper and critting the Pelipper as well, lowering that special attack. So now it might be a roll to pick up the Nihilego on the other side of the field if it were to connect with that Hydro Pump. Oh, but it is not going to be able to connect because Pelipper is knocked out by a Power Gem from Nihilego, giving it that special attack boost.
Absolutely, and this is actually really good actually in a way for Monroy. I think Addy was trying to read potentially Nihilego swapping up, and that's why they targeted with the Spectre. But the fact that the Spectre survived on 3 HP, and then Addy was like, Monroy called it out that he's not gonna summon the Nihilego. It's looking pretty good for a turn 1, pretty even though on both sides, because the Scarf getting revealed from Urshifu. We'll say, I can KO either of your Pokemons at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the knockout on that Pelipper that last turn gave Audi a free switch into this Rillaboom this turn. So not the end of the world for him to lose that Pokemon the first turn. And like you said, this Urshifu kind of has it's right for the pickings on who it's going to take out this turn. But Nihilego actually swaps out into Monroy's own Rillaboom.
Yeah, and it very interesting that the fact that Monroy didn't protect. Monroy kept the Spectre too, and Addy actually didn't target the Spectre. So the Spectre being the second fastest mon, it's gonna get a second attack since Rillaboom didn't want to go for a Fake Out or Grassy Glide. And I'm not sure if that was the best thing to do.
And it moves the Will-O-Wisp onto the Rillaboom, allowing it to go for that super effective full powered U-turn into the Rillaboom, bringing it down into the red. So next turn, this Rillaboom is susceptible to getting taken out even by the Surging Strikes, but the Urshifu on Audie's side of the field has to worry about that potential Fake Out or Grassy Glide coming its way, and it looks like the Rillaboom on Audie's side did switch into that Naganadel, threatening the Rillaboom a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Will-O-Wisp missing was the impactful to the advantage of Addy, but I do think Monroy probably potentially making a mistake. I think getting an attack would have been better, but maybe Monroy thought that I'm gonna lose my Spectre anyway, so I'm just gonna go for this. But very interesting because right now you have two very low mons from Monroy, so it's looking very good for Addy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And also to go along with that, Monroy kind of just wanted to give like a parting gift onto Audie with that Will-O-Wisp, but also missing moves like that is incredibly tilting. So Monroy really needs to take all the time that they can to kind of like center themselves, take a deep breath, and get back into this match because it is not over yet, even though, they do have those two really low Pokemon. Monroy's Rillaboom going for a fake out into that Urshifu, doing quite a bit of damage, and the Will-O-Wisp coming on out and connecting with the Urshifu. Of course, if your moves are always critting, the burn doesn't really matter too much, but still kind of an unfortunate connect there. And Naganadel does go ahead and pick up that Rillaboom, and it's going to be getting that +1 special attack Beast Boost, starting to really set up and become a very offensive threat on the field.
Yeah, and this is so strange. Going through the Will-O-Wisp again, I don't know if Monroy was just thinking, I'm just gonna lose my Spectre anyway, and then going. But Addy's like, you know what, your Spectre doesn't scare me. You can try burning me, but Urshifu, as you mentioned, like always crit with your Surging Strike, and we know it's locking Surging Strike. So this is actually looking very well for Addy because Nihilego is probably gonna get KO'd pretty easily by the Urshifu, and then you can keep ignoring the Spectre, but we see Togekiss coming into the play, so things changing up a little bit.
And I feel like last turn a Snarl from the Spectre would have been beneficial because, you know what, you kind of knew that one of your Pokemon were going to be taken out, so a Snarl would have been great to offset that special attack boost. I hate to see a Togekiss, out in the face of a Naganadel. It's about to take a Sludge Bomb to the face if Audie so chooses to target down that slot. Interesting set of Pokemon that Monroy brought over into this matchup, and I'm wondering, how the gears are turning in his head, how he's maybe going to adjust to better match up Audie's team in game 2. Of course, the game is not over whatsoever. They are tied in Pokemon. Togekiss going out for that follow me, potentially, saving his partner Spectre from the Surging Strikes and whatever move that Naganadel chose to go for this turn. Not doing too much Togekiss, probably a bulkier HP or defensively trained set. And it looks like Spectre is now going on the offensive, going for that Shadow Ball into the Urshifu, and it is not able to pick it up.
I'm not gonna lie, I am very surprised that Urshifu actually ended up surviving the Shadow Ball. Maybe because the Spectre is not... Yeah, it's very strange in the fact that it didn't pick up, maybe on the bulkier side. But that is very unfortunate because Nihilego will be coming on from Monroy side, and that's why the Urshifu was being targeted. They needed it now, and now the Naga is a +2. It's a +2, and then it's just gonna KO anything. And once again, this is just looking like a solid game 1 win for Addy.
Absolutely, a +2 Naganadel with that Life Orb. I don't think there's a single Pokemon that it can't take out. I mean, maybe a Sludge Bomb wouldn't be able to pick up the Nihilego, but we still have this Urshifu over on Audie's side of the field that is outspeeding everything. So, he does have his choice on who to knock out this turn. And it looks like this might just be a clean game 1 for Audie. So it's time for Monroy to really reflect on, what went wrong, how to better utilize that Spectre, and maybe if there's going to be any of a switch up. Maybe not bringing that Togekiss, I hate to say it, but even though it was able to take those Surging Strikes very comfortably from the Urshifu, it was just absolutely demolished by that Sludge Bomb. Speaking of Surging Strikes, it looks like Surging Strikes are coming out into that Spectre, taking out with only 2 hits, and that is bye-bye Horsey for the rest of this match. Game.
And as we mentioned, this is looking very good. I do like the changes. I believe the way Monroy played the Spectre, like the Will-O-Wisp, missing it and then going at the end for the Will-O-Wisp onto the Urshifu, felt a little unnecessary. Had he attacked on those 2 turns, things will have actually looked a lot better. So I think Monroy probably is at least gonna be thinking, hey, this Urshifu is Scarf. I'm not gonna let it get away, because honestly, the fact that the Urshifu got away with as much as it did probably hurt him a little, because you could have just gone for the risky Grassy Glide too and just delete the Urshifu, especially because you had Nihilego in the back. So I think I'm hoping Monroy changes it up, maybe deals with that Urshifu better. And I don't know about the Togekiss, you're right, but at least don't let that Urshifu go wild, because I think that was very, very key for Addy's victory on this game 1.
Absolutely, and I think that having the Togekiss in the back would be just fine, because as you can tell, it really did handle that Urshifu quite well. Unfortunately, the Naganadel was still the most offensive threat on Audie's side of the team, so Monroy's really gonna have to search through what they brought and see if there's anything that can counter that, maybe a high horsepower on the Rillaboom. But yeah, they definitely need to focus more on dealing damage, or else Audie is just gonna run away with another game 2. But I'm excited to see how both players adjust, and let's go ahead and see what happens in this game 2.
Also, I've been told that Burn actually did affect the damage output. The true crits, the crits only matter through defense boost. I actually didn't know that. Oopsie. So good to know. So the burn was important. I do think 2 Shadow Balls into that spot will have been a little bit nicer, but
yeah,
good to know.
Every day. It looks like the same lead from Audie's side of the field, and Monroy switching it up just a little. Switching it up a little bit? Yeah, switching up just a little bit with that Spectre and the Rillaboom in the lead. Didn't want to have that Naganadel anywhere near either of these 2 Pokemon that can probably just take it out with 1 single strike. But I'm interested to see, what Audie does with this Pelipper. He did lose it very early last game, so I'm going to see maybe if he can utilize it a little bit better, or, if it's kind of just here to set up the rain.
Yeah, and this is kind of going to, hey, am I gonna let the Urshifu die, potentially your Grassy Glide? Because there's nothing stopping that, right? The Monroy knows that this Urshifu doesn't have Protect, so you could just easily go try to get pick the KO with Grassy Glide, because it was such a menace to you in the last game. So really like the adjustment from Monroy in this game 1, because it's up to now if he tries to read, hey, is he gonna swap, is he gonna keep it? But I'm looking pretty good either way for whatever both of them do in this turn 1.
Yeah, and it looks like the Urshifu does swap out. Audie recognizing that a Grassy Glide could just come out and completely annihilate it in one shot, because we are on that grassy terrain. Pelipper going for Protect as this Naganadel comes out, so no damage coming out on Audie's side of the field this turn, but Rillaboom opting for that fake out into the Naganadel, potentially doing more damage than a Grassy Glide would have, as Spectre does go for that Snarl, getting a critical hit onto Naganadel and a very critical special attack drop onto this menace of a Pokemon.
Yeah, that is actually a really good turn for Monroy. Very, very unfortunate, because the crit probably put it in a range that Addy isn't as comfortable as it was. And now you're back to Addy's, now debating, should I have put Rillaboom back in? It's just looking a little bit tricky, because at least it's not in a Grassy Glide range, and we can hope that you don't go for a Grassy Glide into Nangalo. But the momentum definitely is now back on Monroy, because Monroy could, as you can see, that Pelipper has Tailwind, could set up the Tailwind just to make sure to always be the fastest Pokemon around. And the Sash is still intact also in Pelipper, right? So this is still, Pelipper gets probably should do an attack regardless.
Yeah, potentially a double up into the Rillaboom would be able to take it out. Pelipper most likely moving before the Naganadel, allowing the Naganadel to potentially still get that Beast Boost if it were to take it out with the Sludge Bomb. But it looks like that is not what is going on here. It looks like Audie's own Rillaboom coming out to stare down Monroy's Rillaboom that is actually retreating, bringing out Incineroar. So the first switch up of Monroy's little roster here, Rillaboom going for that Intimidate. Doesn't really affect Naganadel, but it does already put a -1 attack onto Audie's Rillaboom. And it looks like the Rillaboom did avoid the Spectre Snarl, but again, this Naganadel taking pretty hefty damage plus a special attack drop, but it does get a poison onto the Incineroar, which could come into play later on in the game. But you know, this life orb damage that Naganadel is taking is really, really starting to stack up, and now I just feel like anything on Monroy's side of the field would be able to take out this Naganadel.
Yeah, this is, like I said, I think the crit did put the Naganadel in a very awkward spot, and at this point you just need to do the best you can, because then there is a high chance that Naganadel is just gonna go down this next turn, since the Spectre is the fastest Mon right now, and then you also have the fake out pressure for your Incin. So if Monroy decides to go for a fake out into the Naganadel, it just okay.
Yeah, no fake out coming out from Monroy's side of the field. The Grassy Glide going into the Spectre didn't do too much because of the attack drop, but the Draco Meteor, oh my goodness, at -2, it is not able to pick up the Spectre, leaving it with just a sliver of HP. And, you know, the Naganadel tried its best, and with that Citrus Berry, it's kind of like salt in the wound to the Naganadel, like, haha, you can got me. Once again, I'll be healing back up, and it looks like Spectre is going for that Shadow Ball into Naganadel, and it will not be able to handle that, going down, giving Monroy the Pokemon advantage and Spectre a special attack boost.
Yeah, and I just something very interesting. The party shot does go into the Rillaboom, but I thought the Spectre and Naganadel were actually speed tying, because the Spectre Antler was going. I'm pretty sure it was going first, unless I missed it, and I apologize if it wasn't the case. But maybe they're speed tying, because I thought the Spectre went first last turn with the Snarl, but. Whoa,
the Spectre and the Naganadel must be speed tying, because it was going first with those Snarls, but this turn the Naganadel was able to move faster. There's no tailwind on Audie's side of the field. The Pelipper was gone after the first turn, so that's very interesting to see. I did not know that Naganadel was that speedy of a Pokemon. You know, in my mind, Spectre is one of the fastest Pokemon in the metagame outside of Regieleki, so it's interesting to see anything be speed tied with it.
Yeah, there's a chance, like I said, because the Spectre is actually the Citrus variant. Maybe it's just not fully speed invested. Naganadel should be just 252 speed, honestly. Like, your life orb, and if you're not, then it's very questionable. So maybe the Spectre is in the slower side, but that was pretty cool fact, you know. And I mean, it's still not looking good for Addy, to be honest. Now you have the Urshifu, the Universe Scarf is like, yeah, looking like Pelipper is gonna come in, but the Spectre is at +1 now, and it's rare. You need to get some read rights and hope that Monroy misplays to make this into a second win.
Yeah, absolutely. Fake out coming out from Monroy's side of the field, breaking that Pelipper Focus Sash, and, you know, Spectre is going for that Will-O-Wisp once again, having the damage coming out from this Rillaboom, but it will be going for that U-turn into the other Rillaboom on the other side of the field. It was a critical hit, so that burn did not matter at all. It looks like Urshifu is coming back out, but once again, this Rillaboom is still on the field. Even with the burn, I'm not quite certain, you know, can a Scarf, probably fully HP or fully attack invested Urshifu, take something like a Grassy Glide on grassy terrain?
They usually don't, so it will be interesting when or not Addy just calls out the Rillaboom not attacking it, thinking that there's gonna just be a swap, which makes sense, you know. And normally you will think, okay, there's no way the Urshifu stays, so I'm gonna ignore the Urshifu and just go with the Pelipper. And the Pelipper, as you can see, is like ready to go a Hurricane, and this will be pretty clutch if Addy got this read right, and Monroy expects the Urshifu to swap. This will actually be very, very favorable back to Addy and still in the game for the Colossals, but anything can happen. Maybe Monroy doesn't think it like that, but yeah.
Looks like the Spectre that is +1 is leaving the field, going into Incineroar, you know, hoping to get this fake out pressure back on the field, and also an attack drop onto the Urshifu if we were to go for anything other than a Surging Strikes. But yeah, you know, Audie probably has a lot of pressure on him, and it looks like Grassy Glide does come out, but the burn damage, Or wait, sorry, this Rillaboom is not burn. What am I talking about? It's the other Rillaboom. You know, when it's like the highest usage Pokemon in the format, it can get a little confusing. But no damage reduction onto this Rillaboom. This Urshifu on Audie's side of the field was just able to take a full-powered Grassy Glide on grassy terrain, so he must have some crazy EV spreads on that thing.
Yeah, and this is actually looking really good for Audi now. If this Hurricane gets the KO into the Rillaboom, oh no, that is very unfortunate. You needed that absolutely. You know, you lost the rain now, and you absolutely needed that Rillaboom gone so you could actually just 3v1 the Spectre in the back. That's so unfortunate. Surviving. I wonder if it was just a low roll or this Rillaboom was gonna survive.
Yeah, but interesting to note, the rain and also the grassy terrain is gone. So even though there is a Togekiss on Monroy's side that is most likely going for a follow me this turn, there is a possibility that the Rillaboom can be removed from play before it is able to attack. But, you know, it depends on whether or not this Togekiss is able to be taken out in one hit by their Shifu, which is unlikely because we did see that Surging Strike's damage into Togekiss in game 1, or if, you know, Rillaboom somehow misses its move, but it does look like this next turn, if the Urshifu stays on the field, it will not stick around to see another day.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that that the grassy terrain actually was gonna run out this time too. So I mean, yeah, it could be a double follow me, and this swap is interesting. I'm not sure if I agree with it because you know your Urshifu is the fastest thing right now, so getting me potentially a KO is important. But at the same time, there was a high chance that Urshifu was just gonna go down in this turn.
Looks like Monroy's Rillaboom actually switching out, maybe afraid of a potential KO onto it by the Pelipper, as Togekiss just does go for that Dazzling Gleam. And this is most likely critical hit Togekiss carrying that Razor Claw, and it looks like Pelipper going for that Tailwind, setting up a potential, you know, outspeed, but I'm not sure because, you know, Audi did have the fastest Pokemon on the field, so the Tailwind doesn't really make sense to me here. Like, you probably should have gone for that knockout, but you know, Audi is one of the best players in the league, so who am I to question things? And there's probably a lot of pressure on him since you know, his game and every game after matters so much to save the Colossals and potentially put them into the semifinals.
Absolutely, and this is a little tricky, right? The Pelipper only has 2 moves that can miss. Hydro Pump makes the most sense, given that Hurricane's chances is a 7% chance of hitting. So if this is, as I mentioned, a little bit tricky because you want to hope that this Pelipper can KO this Spectre. The Fake Out makes sense here. You don't want to follow me, but I don't know if the remaining Pokemons that Adi have can actually KO Togekiss, because Togekiss is looking very, very scary. And once again, the Spectre is surviving with a little bit of HP. And
this Spectre is crazy.
Oh my god.
And it does. Yeah, and it takes out that Pelipper from Audie's side of the field with that Shadow Ball, giving it a Grenade boost, and it looks like the tides have truly turned in Monroy's favor. It might take, you know, a few miracles for Audi to bring this one back, but that does give us a game 3 and truly a nail biter when this game is so important to whether or not the Heat secures a spot in the semis, or if, you know, the Colossals still have a chance.
Absolutely, and oh my goodness gracious, this is so, the rocks like getting revealed actually is pretty cool to see. And oh man, this is just so unfortunate. We see the follow me as we expected. You want to kite getting your Spectre out as much as possible, and the Urshifu will go first, and then this should be enough to knock out the Spectre. Yep. Now it's whenever or not this knockoff into Togekiss will be enough, but we do know that this is not going to be looking good because there's Fake Out pressure next turn from the incoming Rillaboom, and just. Yeah, it got a lot closer. The burn probably in the Rillaboom a little too unfortunate could cause things a little bit uneven, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Will-O-Wisp in the first game, you know, seemed a little seemed a little suboptimal, but this Will-O-Wisp in this game really turned things in favor for Monroy. Of course, his Rillaboom and Togekiss are quite low HP, so there is, a potential for misplay here that Audi could potentially bring it back. With some Rock Slide flinches, it is scarfed into Rock Slide here, but, evading the Follow Me from Togekiss. And it looks like Rillaboom is not going for a fake out here. It is just going to go ahead and go for the Grassy Glide. The Rillaboom on Audie's side of the field most likely wanting to have Grassy Glide into the other Rillaboom because it is so low HP because of that Follow Me from Togekiss. Monroy's Rillaboom is able to connect with Audie's Urshifu and go ahead and take it out, and I don't know if this burned Rillaboom is able to 1v2 the rest of Monroy's Pokemon.
Yeah, one interesting thing is I wonder, since the Rillaboom didn't go for a fake out, whenever not the Grassy Glide goes before the Follow Me, or does Follow Me still have the higher priority? Actually, yeah, it still has that priority. Because I was thinking that because the Addie's Rillaboom was faster, given the fact that he had Tailwind, if you could have Grassy Glide into that Rillaboom and hopefully to KO it, because there was no fake out for the last turn, it would have taken sense. But I mean, Monroy just keeping it safe, saying, you know what, you can't. As I mentioned, Addie didn't have a really good way to knock out the Togekiss, so Togekiss is just going for the Follow Me and keeping his Rillaboom safe the entire time. Was a pretty good move, and Addie now realizes, yeah, I can't win this.
Yes, as you had mentioned, Audie's Rillaboom actually did go for that Grassy Glide, but the Follow Me did out priority it, so the Grassy Glide went into Togekiss instead 2 turns ago. And the Dazzling Gleam just going to go ahead and pick up Rillaboom, sealing up Game 2, bringing us into a Game 3, 1-1, a huge nail biter, and, it could go either way. And I had said, oh, don't bring the Togekiss, Monroy, don't bring it out there unless you can deal with the Naganadel. And Monroy from the past said, bet. So that was very interesting. And I mean, I did say it was going to be something crazy if he was able to get rid of the Naganadel and have Togekiss in the back. And I mean, it was a little prophecy there. And I'm interested to see, how Audie can kind of adjust to a threat that he didn't consider a threat because he had a Naganadel. Like, what was the Togekiss going to do against that unless it had extra sensory or something? So I'm very interested to how both players are going to go into this Game 3. It is truly so stressful, such a nail biter. I'm, secretly rooting for the Colossal so we can have this kind of like underdog story. But also, the Heat has been... Right, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the Heat has been so oppressive that, I mean, it's truly anybody's game still.
Yeah, and Monroy adapted the way that he should have adapted to get it. Like, always when you start 0-1, you're like stressing over. It's like my team depends on me. If I win, we win the week and stuff. So very happy to see the Monroy adaptation. I don't blame Addie for starting the lead he did in Game 2. I think you had to force them to swap it off and respect your lead. And it just came to like a couple turns that almost worked out for Addie, but because of the debuffs and the probably missing on a roll potentially. I'm not 100% sure, but the Rillaboom surviving, the Spectre surviving really hurt that because the knockout just happened with those Pokemon. Addie was even with the adaptation, Addie had Game 2. So it just I feel like this Game 3 is gonna depend a lot on how they both lead.
Absolutely. And I hate games that are decided in, team preview and in the game 1, in the turn 1. But, I'm excited to see, how both players are going into this. It must be so stressful on both of them. And without further ado, how about we just go ahead and get into game 3 and see how this one plays out?
Yes, let's go.
Already. I'm interested to see, if Audie had the same lead or if he can pull a different lead out. Monroy has been leading differently every single game, and it looks like, once again, Monroy is leading differently, opting to bring his own Urshifu this time around with that Rillaboom in the front. Oh, and we have a mirrored lead. Oh, no. Anybody who plays VGC knows that you absolutely hate a mirror, and what do we have here? It is a mirror. 2 Urshifu Waters versus 2 Rillabooms. I'm very interested to see, if both Rillabooms are leaving the field, if they're faking out, if Monroy's Urshifu has the scarf as well, if they're going to be speed tied. It's just going to be a whole bunch of mind games for this turn one.
Yeah, the one thing is though, if Monroy did pay attention from last game, and as a reminder this game, Adi's Rillaboom is the faster Rillaboom here. So it's all about mind games though. Even though you know that the faster fake out and faster aggressive glide will come from Adi's Rillaboom. Adi just going for the opposing Rillaboom because it's a bigger threat. And yeah, we use the fake out going on, and then because Adi being the scarf goes first too, so potentially no scarf from Monroy's side unless speed types, because who loves those? So looking really good, and I just noticed that Mungus from Adi's side. This is actually very interesting.
A very interesting adaptation, opting not to bring the Pelipper, because the Pelipper truly didn't do very much these past couple of games except for set that rain, which was very beneficial to the Urshifu, of course, but looks like this Amoonguss is going to be switching into the Rillaboom slot, potentially taking all of those Surging Strikes. Actually, no, it's going to be the Naganadel coming out onto the field, potentially wanting to remove the Rillaboom in the next turn. There's no more fake out pressure. It looks like Urshifu just going for a raw close combat into Rillaboom, doing about 60% of its health. It does get that defense drop though, so if it were to stay onto the field this next turn, Rillaboom could just go for the cleanest Grassy Glide of its life into that Urshifu, just cleanly knocking it out.
Yeah, and like I said, this was pretty risky from Monroy. Given the fact that you had the faster fake out, so was the other Rillaboom just gonna fake out the Rillaboom if they went for the Grassy Glide? It's just so tricky, and Monroy I think got the better exchange from here. So once again we're in the thread of like, Urshifu, I could Grassy Glide you, or Monroy just calling out Adi's like, I don't care, you can try Grassy Gliding me. And then I do like the substitution, substitute coming from the Naganadel, because either way, it's probably the fastest one, assuming that we were correct and that other Urshifu wasn't a scarf. So if the sub gets up really easily, I believe that it will be a really good position for. There's a sash!
Oh my goodness, no wonder Monroy was so bold to leave it on the field. It said, I don't care if you Grassy Glide me, I'm gonna live to see another day. I have a focus sash. And it's just going for that close combat into the Rillaboom once again. The raw power of this Urshifu just able to take out that Rillaboom, removing Adi's Rillaboom from play for the rest of the game. So, not having that able to pivot and that, fake out pressure that Monroy does, it's going to be very hard for Adi to match, and the substitute does just take that U-turn from Rillaboom, leaving Naganadel safely under the safe haven of its plushie going into this next turn.
Yeah, and oh my goodness gracious, I didn't even think about Sash. Why didn't think about Sash? So this is coming actually really good. At least Adi got you keep the substitute, but there's a chance that that sub might be on a Aqua Jet, maybe range. I'm not sure, but Amoonguss coming in probably will be also very clutch, or Urshifu because of the Spectre. But we do know that Urshifu will not knock out that Spectre with 3 Surging Strikes because it's a bulky citrus berry kind. So a little bit tricky here. Do you bring Amoonguss? Do you bring Urshifu? Either way, it's looking a little bit dicey, and looks like Amoonguss is gonna be coming in.
Absolutely. Amoonguss can go for things like Rage Powders, like Spore, very disruptive Pokemon. Not really threatened by the Spectre or the Urshifu. This Urshifu must have, it must be very offensively trained from that raw power of those close combats. Unless it has something like an Ice Punch, it can't really hit the Amoonguss for super effective damage. Amoonguss potentially even able to pick off the Urshifu with something like a Sludge Bomb if the Naganadel on Adi side of the field wants to target down Spectre. And as we remember from a few games ago, that the Spectre and the Naganadel are speed tied. So, it depends on who wins the speed tie. Urshifu just going for a Detect, trying to prevent itself from taking that Sludge Bomb to the face and then giving Naganadel that free Beast Boost. And Taunt coming out onto the Amoonguss, completely shutting it down from anything like a Rage Powder or a Spore. Oh, that is so unfortunate for Adi's Amoonguss.
That is absolutely unfortunate. I mean, now you just need to hope you win the speed type.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah, Monroy made some incredible adjustments and hid the information so well.
yeah, that Spectre, I believe, is now what? Shadow, Snarl, Will-O-Wisp, and Taunt. Oh, that's why. Yeah, the fact that it doesn't have Protect too. Oh my goodness gracious. That, yeah, hiding that Taunt onto game 3 probably was very, very unfortunate. I mean, I still think that Adi did the right play. It's just, as I mentioned, very, very unfortunate that the Taunt was the last move on the sector instead of, say, Protect. And right now, yeah, that could coming in into hopefully to break in the subs. And is it? Yeah, it is enough. So now we will see who wins the speed tie this time.
Oh, and Spectre wins the speed tie, going from that Snarl, taking the Naganadel down to -1 special attack. It still should be able to pick up the Urshifu if that is who it targeted into, but something like a Draco Meteor, yeah, that would be wasted on the Urshifu. It's going into the Spectre, but a -1 into the full health Spectre is only going to bring it down to just below half HP. And now, Adi's Naganadel is at -3 special attack, and Spectre's Citrus Berry was procced, so it is still sitting very pretty on this field. You know, Amoonguss going for that Sludge Bomb into the Urshifu, able to knock it out, so that oppressive side of Monroy's damage has been taken out. But, you know, I'm starting to see, you know, why Monroy is 2-0. The way he is able to hide information until the third game is just truly impressive.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very impressed because I'm looking at his team sheet too, and he has not brought a Spectre. So unless someone of his teammates, and they maybe scout the teammates too, Monroy has never brought a Spectre, so you wouldn't have thought about when or not was Taunt, especially the fact that you already have Snarl and Will-O-Wisp and then an attack move, right? So Spectres usually have a Protect as their fourth move in general. Just because Protect is so clutch in a lot of movesets. So the fact that Taunt is 4-1 is really pretty cool. And at this point, yes, they're each 1 month down, but things are looking really, really good for Monroy, in my opinion. Especially with the Naganolo, just it needs a crit. It needs a crit to even have a chance right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Togekiss, you know, will be taking super effective damage from the Naganadel, but I mean, at -3 special attack, it's probably not going to do much unless it were to crit. And yeah, it only does about 40%, but it does get the poison onto the Togekiss, which will be some pretty decent damage over time. Spectre just going for that Shadow Ball into the Naganadel, hopefully able to pick it off, and it is giving the Spectre a Grim Neigh, making it both a very annoying supportive piece and now a very annoying offensive piece that it's just going to be very hard for Adi to deal with. Air Slash coming out into the Amoonguss from Togekiss, and oh my goodness, it is able to get it down into the red. It was a crit because this is most likely critical hit Togekiss. Another Sludge Bomb coming out into Togekiss, and it looks like the Sludge Bomb from Amoonguss might have been a little bit stronger than the Naganadel's, which is just so sad for that poor Naganadel to see.
Yeah, that is very, very unfortunate because Adi had two options, right? Going for the trick or hoping that it maybe swap in Rillaboom, soak some damage, and then bring back... Oh, wait, never mind. There was no Rillaboom. I forgot that was that. Yeah, this is actually pretty important because you did not want... didn't want your Urshifu for taking damage. And, I mean, it's gonna be Surging Strike or Rock Slide, and I am surprised he's going for the Surging. I will have gone for the Rock Slide.
Yeah, because, you know, with the Togekiss having Follow Me and the potential to flinch since you are the fastest thing on the field, you are able to finally pick off the Togekiss if you do go for that Surging Strikes. But that is something that you are going to be locked into for the rest of the game. So, you know, with Monroy still having the Rillaboom in the back. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's always a potential for a misplay. There's always a potential for something to go wrong or right in your favor. You know, that is the nature of playing VGC. And it looks like Amoonguss is also just going to go for a Spore into the Spectre again because its taunt has expired. But, you know, Spectre can just go ahead and reset that taunt anytime it wants to.
Give me a flinch. Give me a flinch. Give me a flinch. Look, flinch. And
no flinch. Just a raw Shadow Ball into the Urshifu. Takes it down to 13 HP. But, you know, the Amoonguss is able to get the Spore off onto the Spectre that has been so oppressive. Much more oppressive than any of us would have expected, including Adi, I'm sure. But
But
yeah,
Rillaboom.
Rillaboom is coming out, and I'm just not quite sure what Audie's last two Pokemon can do against this Rillaboom.
Among Us can crit the Rillaboom, obviously. But yeah, this is very important, which is why I did say you needed the flinch. Because we know that the Rillaboom I mean, we know that the Urshifu at full HP can survive the Rillaboom Grassy Glide unless if they get critted. So at this game, and I agree with this, you go for the Rock Slide, knock out the Togekiss, because you know the following is coming. Now you hope for the flinch because you're sleeping the Spectre, because the Spectre never goes. Honestly, probably wasn't gonna ever go to the Among Us, because if had gone to Among Us, it was a high misplay. But even then, I mean, Monroy was pretty safe with either move, because Rillaboom being in the back just hurts the chances. But yeah, this is. I did try to bring it as close as he could, in my opinion. I think there was, unfortunately, the Spectre being taunt is probably what causing that G3, because I do sleeping that Spectre was huge, and not getting crits, you know.
Yeah, no crit for the poor little Amoonguss. Pretty healthy Spectre and Rillaboom over on Monroy side of the field, but what an incredible set of matches truly between these two very high level players. And you know, it was a treat for us to be able to see on stream. Audie definitely played the best that he could, but you know, with Monroy conserving the information of no protect on Spectre, it's taunt instead, really lulled him into a sense of security to bring that Amoonguss. But you know, it did have that taunt, and not being able to spore its target, you know, that first turn, or its second turn, really hurt Audie's game plan. A U-turn for the Rillaboom is going to go ahead and clean up this game, giving a 2-1 victory to Monroy, ensuring that the Howley Heat does advance to the semifinals next week. So congratulations to the Heat, and also congratulations to the Colossals for such a great season, and I mean, just a very exciting match overall.
Yeah, I wish they had make it further to Game 7. I think they were a lot closer than how Dream Eaters and Celtics were, but it happens, right? Like one set difference, one slightly change can just turn things. And watching that last set between Addie and Monroy, especially because I don't know anything about Monroy besides learning about the Bilbao stuff, it's very cool, because as mentioned, and then once again, congratulations, making it into the semifinals. Now gonna be facing the Strikers, which is Kira's favorite team, no bias included.
Sorry.
But it's like, I honestly don't know who to cheer between the Heats and the Strikers. No comment on that one, but yeah, really cool plays. Excuse me, really close game. Zanzibar and we will have not played yet. They were going to be actually playing later in the afternoon, but we do have the final results, which is a 4-2 in favor into the Howley Heat. So very close coming up. A lot of back and forth between it. The Howley Heat did have the advantage at the start, but Colossals, trying their best to make it onto the last game, and they almost did it. So still very good job of them after such a rough season.
Yeah, absolutely. They really were the underdogs to climb their way back up. So massive props to them for, never losing hope, never giving up. Again, congratulations to the Howley Heat. Congratulations to Monroy for winning with my favorite Pokemon. And that's going to be it for me for the day. I will be signing off from casting for the rest of the day. You might not see me next week because I will be casting the Hatterene series, but I also, might have a sneaky casting in there. So thank you for having me on, Izzy, and don't go away, everybody. We do have one final match of the day. It's going to be so exciting, so you definitely want to stick around for that.